Good morning. It's Melissa Ryan here, joining you from the Golden Wellbeing Collective again. It is 25 degrees out this morning, so I'm probably going to have this be a little more brief because my hands are pretty cold. But it is another beautiful day. The sun is out. There's some blue sky. The mountains again are in the background, and what I wanted to talk to you today about is why my goal for couples when they come in to see me is not just for them to be happy. So most people come in and they say, you know, we've really been in this rut, or we've been in a funk, and we really just want to be happy again. And while that is a good goal and that gives us a baseline of where we're headed, my ultimate goal for folks is that they can fully express everything that they feel in their relationship, that they create this environment. I use the term Stan Tatkin has in his therapy, which is the couple bubble, but it's this idea that you have this ecosystem around you, and we want to take care of that ecosystem. So what is that going to take to make that happen? What does it take? Oh, we have a little bit of noise in the background, but hopefully that's okay. But yeah, what is it going to take to have a relationship where you feel like you can fully show up as yourself, and your partner can do the same? And so for a lot of us, we may feel like the stoic way is the way to go. It's definitely part of our culture. But what we're coming to find in more and more research is that people who are able to know what they're feeling and respond accordingly and use that information, they just tend to be more successful. We've had lots of research that's come out from Daniel Goleman, who has books about emotional intelligence, to Brene Brown's work related to vulnerability. And all that research really just points to when we're able to fully show up as a full human and express all emotions, and find ways to productively express and process those emotions, we feel better ultimately. And so I really work with couples to first connect with what they're feeling and understand that. And that we have a whole host of emotions, but there's really 7 primary emotions: joy, pain, anger, I made a little list for myself so I won't forget, love, shame, guilt, and fear. And so I really want folks to be able to recognize what those emotions are like and be able to identify them and name them, because if you can name it, you can tame it. So first, individually understanding what those emotions look like, because everyone feels them. And so being able to identify them, and then I also want them to not only be able to identify them in themselves, but figure out what are ways that help them process those emotions in an effective way. So versus numbing, which would be an activity you would do that might provide you temporary relief, but when you get done with the activity, you still feel the same emotions. So a numbing activity could be binge watching Netflix for 8 hours. It might make you feel good in the moment, but when you're done, you might still feel sadness or guilt or whatever the emotion is that's coming up. So I really work with people to help them figure out what it is that works for them. And so everyone's different. For myself, I'm a kinesthetic processor. That's what I've learned. And so emotions, I find it really effective to work through emotions by moving. So I came to figure this out while mountain biking, which isn't always the best place for me to process emotions, because I need to be like focused and intense. And if what's coming up for me is sadness, I'm like a limp noodle on a bike, which is not that safe. So because I'm much more aware that this is how I don't know that I like to, but it's how I process emotions, I've carved out time throughout my week to move my body and be intent on how I process those emotions. So summarizing, I like couples to not only know what works for them individually, but then how can we create a space in their relationship so that they can express what it is they're expressing and not feel like their partner's going to get angry and try to shut that emotion down or blame them or tell them, no, that's not what you're feeling, because that's not really that helpful. And so, and that can be the go-to response, especially if the other person doesn't know what to do with their own emotions. They can get flooded, which means they just get overwhelmed by the other person's emotions. And so that's why a lot of the work that we do in session is helping just name emotions. Oh, I see that Moose is on. Hey, Moose, it's good to have you join me. But yeah, just name those emotions. And then also, how can they co-regulate with each other, which just really means how can they make each other feel like there's a space to bring that emotion down and work through it together as a couple. And so, yeah, there's different ways that they can do that, just creating quiet space to be able to talk things out. I have a lot of couples who going for a walk can be a really good outlet for them because, again, you're moving, and so that can be helpful for kinetic processors. I have some clients who just, if they feel like they're getting, experiencing a lot of emotions, they kind of take a break. One of them might go journal or, again, go for a walk or go wrench on some dirt bikes or whatever it is, and then come back and then talk about what happened. And so there's a variety of ways to get that formula that works for you and just trying it out. Or maybe it's, hey, we're going to share a cup of coffee and just really relax, or it's really important for us that maybe we go watch a movie or something and then afterwards kind of talk about what's going on for us. I mean, just trying out different formulas. And a lot of what couples therapy is just doing some experiments and going and trying something, and then if it doesn't work, then we tweak it, or my couples tweak it and they come back and report, yeah, that worked, or this didn't work. And we just create kind of a set of tools and a structure to just have more effective communication, which reduces the stress in the relationship, which ultimately helps them report that, yes, they do have higher levels of happiness and satisfaction. And they also feel more heard and understood, and like they can fully express anything that's going on. So if a dog dies, which can be a big deal in a family, because pets there are family members for a lot of folks. And so we don't, happiness is not necessarily the response you would want when your pet dies. You want to be able to feel whatever it's feeling, sadness, anger, disappointment. So really, we work to create the space for that to be expressed. And that ultimately, like I said, leads to higher satisfaction in the relationship. And overall, people report feeling better because they can be fully human. So because there's a jerk coming, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. It was great having you folks join me. I'd love to hear what you have found to be successful as far as ways to either de-stress or create that couple bubble in your relationship, things that you have found to be positive additions to your ecosystem in your relationship. I encourage you to answer, leave comments. I always find that interesting, and it's also such a great opportunity for the community to learn from one another, which is what's so cool about these Facebook Lives. So I've really enjoyed spending this time with you this morning. I'm going to go warm up my hands, and if you'd like more information or resources, please check out my company Facebook page or my website. It's Cambium Counseling. And in another Facebook Live, I'll explain where that name comes from, because it's a pretty cool metaphor. So anyways, I've enjoyed being with you this morning, and have a wonderful day. All right, take care.